Thank you. So I want to thank everyone that served on this. I do have issues with the process. As Ms. Wilbert shared, apparently there were meetings over months. That's not the equivalent of every now and then we'll have a public meeting. To me, this is government, and this is a very important issue, and I would have liked to have seen actually public meetings where the public can call in and participate like we're seeing today. And when you have a meeting where we can watch, that's not the same as public participation. And I honestly think but moving on from that, accepting, okay, this is where we are. And I think it's very exciting what I'm hearing in regards to honoring the Churcheño. And I think that there's a lot of good work that can happen there. However, I'm one of those people that my maiden name is Herrera. I am Mexican American. And when I heard the comments by the committee and the commissioners in regards to it being a Spanish name or a Spanish word, so first of all, we had someone from the committee, and I want to acknowledge it. So apparently the criteria means that a Spanish word that is grove of trees is not acceptable. It's not as though the trees are racist, but it is a Spanish word that means grove of trees. I'm Mexican American. Yes, I have some Spanish in me. I don't know all of my background, but I have grown up in a society where we actually do not have any parks with a Spanish word in Alameda. I don't know what happened that caused the community back in, whenever this was, early 1900s, to change the name from a Spanish word to the name of a president. However, moving forward from that time, we do have many parks. In fact, we have Bayport Park, which is actually in regards to named of corporate America or whomever bought it, right? The development is Bayport and the park is Bayport. That continues. That's not something that was just decades ago, right? That happens right now. So personally, and so the idea that we can come up with a criteria that is supposed to be inclusive but excludes Spanish names, I have to say I have a problem with that. And so in regards to my childhood, I grew up in a town. We don't have parks with Spanish words. And I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Los Angeles. We do have a city, right, that's a Spanish name, but we didn't have any parks. We didn't have any schools. Same thing. We didn't have any schools named after Spanish people, no Spanish names. So that's, and I have been taught that, honestly, I have been subjected to racism. I was kicked out of a restaurant in Berkeley where they said no Mexicans allowed. Well, I was going to college as a social major at UC Berkeley. And my family, some know Spanish and some don't, because of the prejudice and racism attached to having an accent and not knowing every word. And so I am concerned that we have a criteria that excludes Spanish words. I really take exception to a comment that Alameda is by a commissioner when this went public. That Alameda is also a Spanish word. It means grove of trees, so a nod to Spanish colonizers that we know is unpleasant history of colonization and removing people from their lands. And I agree with some of that. However, at some point, I'm wondering when, as a society, we can actually have a park with a Spanish word, if that will be allowed in the city of Alameda, because it has not been. We have over 20 parks. We did have one with a Spanish word, and yes, it means grove of trees. And I actually don't think that that misrepresents a park. It may not be exactly correct, but it's pretty darn close. So I'm going to actually, I want to offer that. I'm not sure, and we all know Spanish, Mexicans, we are people of color. We are historically left behind in this country, and we do suffer many of the same low income, poverty, right, struggles across the board. And so it's just something that I feel like I was saddened to hear, and hopefully at some point people can think about that, what that means to have it be expressed that no, we can't have, Alameda is also a Spanish word. And that is correct. Now, I personally think the Spanish language is beautiful. I enjoy hearing Spanish. I enjoy the culture, and I hope at some point in our community we can take that to heart and consider. I mean, honestly, I'm very concerned that I'm going to spend my whole life in towns and never have a park with a Spanish word, and continue to have. And let me tell you, I actually see this as institutional racism, because institutional racism quite often is not intended to be racist. There is a logical rationale where people in these types of positions, and now all of you, and I'm going to say this like this because I'm looking at a screen with all these faces that are making these decisions, where you have people in positions that come up with a rationale why racism has to continue to exist. And to me, when I hear we cannot have a Spanish word, we can't have Alameda because it's a Spanish word, to me that is racist. So those are my concerns, and I hope at some point we can actually come up with criteria that includes Hispanic names